Hi, it's Wendy. I got an email recently from someone who used my forgiveness CD and described a really powerful experience he had. And it got me to thinking about talking about forgiveness with you because, so many people know that forgiveness is just so important and it's such a big deal, and they logically understand the need to forgive people in their life. Other people maybe don't understand that and have no desire to forgive people. They would just as soon hang on to their anger, their resentment, and keep the need to be right. And you know what they say, you can be right or you can be happy. And being right means that you're in judgment and that you haven't forgiven someone for something. Everybody has their own definition of what is right. One person can feel that it's right to ride around in a car with gang members and shoot bullets into windows. If they didn't grow up or somehow learn that that was right, they wouldn't be doing it. Another person feels that this is like the worst thing you could do is go and, shoot people randomly as a gang member. So we have right and wrong issues with each other that make us angry at someone and create so many conflicts, and especially in relationships, in marriages, and in love relationships. We have so much resentment that we're still hanging on to, and our inability to forgive because we need to be right, that keeps us pretty miserable and unhappy. Don't you agree? Well, what I wanted to do was offer you a way to get this forgiveness going so that you're not so stuck and you're not just feeling like, oh boy, I don't think I want to go to that place to forgive someone. If I forgive them, doesn't it tell them that they're right? A lot of people have that idea with forgiveness, that it means that makes the other person right. Well, forgiveness doesn't have to be you telling someone, look, I forgive you for this. I mean, it's nice to do that. It's one of the greatest gifts you can give to someone. It also doesn't mean that you can't do it for someone who's no longer here. If you have a father or mother or someone that died and you want to forgive them, you can still do that. The forgiveness exists in your mind, in your heart, and in your soul. So when you do this, you're doing it for yourself, and it's a very personal experience, and it's not something that you have to share with anybody. So what I'd like to do is just open your mind to the concept and the possibility of forgiveness. When you forgive someone, you dramatically change the way that your brain functions and the way that your brain sends chemicals into your body. These chemicals affect all of the cells in your body. So when you have a particular memory that perhaps is traumatic or difficult, or there's a lot of anger or emotion involved in it, that memory is kind of locked up with all of those emotions, and it's very hard for it to be resolved. You can't really look at it in a logical way because it is a memory that's made just entirely of emotions. So it has no way to get out or to express itself or for you to make any changes in it. Make sense? Well, when you go into this memory, when you're in a state of trance, follow the feeling that takes you into that memory. So applying this to forgiveness, if you were to remember something about your mother or your father or someone that you feel did you wrong, and you go into that memory based on the emotion of what the memory is made of, and you just follow that feeling. Once you're in that feeling, then you would observe the scene or the interaction or the discussion that you might have with that person, and you just kind of stay in that experience enough to observe it. When you're doing that, you're already shifting the memory because you're taking it from being just this bundle of emotion to something that has more of a voice or more logic or an observation. So as an observer and noticing that memory, you then make some conclusions. Perhaps there's something in that memory that you learned, something that could make you stronger or help you understand yourself better or understand someone else. If you look at that memory happening as with the wisdom of a grown-up, maybe you were a child at the time, and you look at it with this wisdom, you tend to look at it from many different viewpoints, and you think, wow, my mom was doing the best she could. Under her circumstances, this is the very best that she could do. And then you look at it from your viewpoint of being a child, and you say, wow, as a child, I can see how this was so difficult and so hard, and you feel a lot of love for yourself as that child. Well, now the next step is, if you bring understanding to it, the next thing you can bring is forgiveness. We can't go from being angry, in denial, blaming and judging someone to forgiveness. There's steps along the way. So I like this process a lot to get us at least to the point where we can really just understand why something happened. Now, here's another part of the process that I really like. If you're observing a particular memory or a scene that represents what happened with this person, you can put yourself into their mind and in their body. You're going to imagine that you're actually seeing from inside of their body, through their eyes, feeling with their heart, and seeing what they see. So you would get inside this person's body and look at you, okay, whatever age that you're at, and you would just let yourself feel, what is it like to be this person? So let's use the example of your mother again. If you feel that you have a lot of judgment and you feel that your mother was very wrong in how she raised you, you're only seeing it through that child's eyes. Now that you're inside of your mother, you're feeling in her that maybe there's a lot more pain than you knew about, or a lot more conflict, or maybe she feels completely helpless as a mother because she had a horrible role model as a mother growing up and she didn't learn how to be a mother. Or you feel how unloved she feels, that she feels really left out, lonely, and unloved, and that no one ever gave her the love that she needed. She cannot give you what she doesn't have. And from inside of her experience, you might actually see that child and realize how much you want to love that child and how much you want to teach that child to be a wonderful, lovable, worthy person. But if she didn't have it, it's extremely hard for her to be able to give that to you. Make sense? Now, when you're in this experience, you tend to lose your judgment. I don't mean your good judgment. I mean your ability to be judgmental. So if you lose the ability to be judgmental, that means you have just stepped a little bit closer to understanding and compassion. Now, the next step of this is to take yourself out of that person's body and mind and soul and put yourself back in your own. Okay, so go back, and if the memory in question is about you being a child, then you put yourself into that child's experience, and now you're looking at your mother through your child's eyes. And when you're looking at her, you're seeing something entirely different. You're a scared little child, you're lonely, maybe you've just been verbally abused too much or put down, and you just feel so worthless. Now that you look at it from this child's experience, you begin to realize that she wanted to love me. My mother really wanted to give me the gift of being worthy and of being loved, and she didn't know how. And here I'm this little child that thinks that I'm the one that's bad, and it was because I'm not good enough. And you realize that, but the most important thing you're doing is the place in your brain where you stored this memory, along with all the aspects of the energetic parts of it, the mental processes and the emotions, you're changing it. You're not making the memory itself different in content, but you're changing the things that you believed about that experience. You're releasing the judgment you have about your mom. You're letting go of your feelings of worthlessness of a child and blaming yourself and feeling you're not good enough. So you're putting expression into it, and understanding and compassion and wisdom now, or even a step closer. So now you would step out of that child's experience back to your own self of what age you're at right now and be the observer. As the observer, you want to be a bit neutral, that you're not in the game to make either person win. And as this neutral observer, go ahead and just kind of float around the situation. Let yourself almost literally see it from other angles and other perspectives. You might rise above it just a bit. You might just float around and look at it from the perspective of behind your mother or right beside the little child, and just feel the different positions and what experiences you have when you do that. Now, the next part is you get to choose if you want to forgive this person in your life. If you decide to do that, there's several ways to do it. Okay, so the first experience, I think it's enough probably for you to experience that on its own. The next part of the experience is actually to close your eyes, to take some breaths, get yourself relaxed, and get yourself into that really nice understanding and compassionate space. And imagine a chair in front of you that's empty, and as you're sitting facing this chair in front of you, you bring in the person that you're going to be working with on forgiveness. So when you bring that person in and they sit down, the first thing that you do is you look into their eyes, and you just look in those eyes. You just look without any words. And as you look, you bring your understanding, your wisdom, and your compassion to the experience. There are some things you learn from the first part of that process about this person, and you've already let go of a lot of the blame and feeling that there's someone right and someone wrong. Now you offer your forgiveness. And you let that person know that you're no longer going to be angry, that you do understand that, they were doing the best that they could, or that they had reasons for what they felt or what they were thinking at the time, but that you truly and honestly forgive them. Now, when you do that, if you really give it from your heart, and if there's no judgment left, what you do is you free yourself to live a completely different life. Because once you have given forgiveness, it's an amazing, eye-opening and soul-shaking experience. There's nothing else like it. You're not carrying around the resentment and the anger and the need to be right anymore. It's a big relief. Now, what I like to do in my process with the hypnotherapy is after you have given that person forgiveness, you stop and you wait and you listen to what they say to you. So this is like really the life-altering part of the experience. You let them tell you what it is they need you to know. And they will express something that you might just be, blown away by, in a good way. Now, the next part of the process I like to do is I ask that the person that you're forgiving gives you a gift, that they have something in their hands that represents their true feelings and something they would like you to have that is a symbol of this entire experience. So when you do this, I don't want you to try and figure out what that is, what the gift will be. Just let yourself kind of be surprised. So they hand this gift to you and they put it in your hands and you feel it in your hands, then you open your hands and you see what it is. And this gift in most cases has such profound meaning because it's something that your inner mind has used to represent all of the dynamics of the relationship and all of the things that you were not able to let go of and that you kept for so long as the right and the wrong, and maybe it represents the true love and the depth of the relationship, or it represents where the relationship is going now and the way that you can hold that relationship now. Does that make sense? So if you decide you want to do this on a CD, the CD process I have is really beautiful, and it takes you through these many steps of getting compassion and understanding and getting to the point where you can truly and deeply forgive. Now you can use this for many different people. You go into this sacred room, and in the sacred room is a chair where the person who is going to do the forgiveness with you is going to sit. And I lead you through the experience very slowly and very gently. Will there be some tears? Possibly. Will there be some hurt or some sadness? Yes, but you're letting it go. Remember this. You live with this every day of your life. You carry this resentment, this anger, this need to be right, and all the dynamics of this relationship with you every day of your life. Some of you know that very well. You're saying, yeah, you're damn right I do, because that ex-husband of mine, he did me wrong. or that ex-girlfriend, she was a biatch. Well, you don't want to carry that with you every day. So if you spent 30 minutes working through this and releasing that anger, that's the last time you have to feel it. So would you rather feel it all day, every day, and let it chip away and erode who you really are and prevent you from becoming who you really are? Or would you like to experience what it's like to have it completely lifted, to really let it go? I think 30 minutes of and is better than spending that lifetime of like And you can tell when there are people who are carrying so much resentment and they are really angry about something in their life, you can just tell. I mean, it's on their face, it's in their body language, it's in the words that they use, and their inability to really, truly open up to love with other people or have really good, true friendships. Or maybe it's because you see that they're so unaccountable in life. They're in denial about everything that happens to them, and when something bad happens, they blame it on people. They're impatient, they're prickly and sharp, and they don't take time to really absorb the situation or find any wisdom in a situation. Generally, they're not very compassionate and understanding. So, I don't know if that's you. Probably not, because you're a wise and evolved being. However, we're also human, and being human means that we've had a lot of human experiences that make life very challenging, and I am including myself in this. There are so many things that have happened to me in my life That give me lots of reason for blame and resentment and anger, and I've worked through a lot of it. It took me a few years because I evolved from being, the single mom and the ex and all of the childhood things that happened, and going from a lot of unworthiness and that I didn't deserve to be wealthy, happy, loved, all of those things. Took a lot. And it doesn't have to take a lot. It can be a process where if you did this forgiveness process, like let's say once a week, you did it and worked on it, you're going to evolve so quickly because you're going to be at that first step of letting go of resentment and anger and blame. So the next thing is learning to love yourself. After you do the forgiveness processes, then you can take that next step and really learn to love yourself. In the process of doing it, you're going to understand that you are more worthy than you thought. You are more deserving of happiness and good things, and including being loved. You're worthy of creating massive success and wealth, and you're worthy of being an inspiration to others. A lot of your fears tend to dissipate when you have gotten rid of that anger, blame, and judgment. It's a shame to go through life and only experience it with judgment and blame and anger and resentment, because there's something much better, way better. All right, well, thank you for being here, and I hope that even if you don't buy the CD program for forgiveness, that you do look inward today and you do start thinking about, well, what's my level of resentment and anger and blame? How often do I really need to be right? And how is that affecting my happiness? And then you remember my voice ringing in your head. You can be right or you can be happy. And sometimes I know it's a difficult decision, but just keep going right back to your heart, right back to that place that says everybody feels that they are doing the best that they can and that what they're doing is the right thing at this time. And you choose to evolve and rise above it by looking for understanding and compassion. Make sense? Yeah? Okay, great. So what I want you to do is just take a moment to relax your body, take a nice deep breath, close your eyes just for a moment. And I want you to create a blessing in your heart and your soul. And that blessing is for you and for all that you've been through and all that you've experienced. Just bless what you've experienced in your life. Bless how you've evolved so far. Send a wonderful ripple of love from the top of your head down to the bottoms of your feet and to the tips of your toes. And remember that no matter what has happened to you, no matter what you've done, no matter what you've experienced, that you are still worthy, that your spirit is whole, that you're not broken, that you are a beautiful and emerging soul in a beautiful body, learning exactly what you need to learn just at the right time. Good. So take another deep breath and send another wave of love from the top of your head all the way down to the very bottoms of your feet, to the tips of your toes. Good. Then go ahead and open your eyes. Hello. All right, so I hope you had a good experience, and I hope that you're thinking about doing some forgiveness work in your life. If you would like my assistance, there is a CD, and there's probably a link to it down there, so you can order it, and you can start your process of forgiveness and live a really happy life that's filled with abundance and excitement and laughter and great sex and money and you being a really rockin' person. All right, high five. Catch you soon. Bye-bye.